Last week we did a video breakdown on a guy who's a bit of a wild card, Alen Alencar, who did some wacky stuff and ended up running into a set of aces. Even on a 4-flush board, got called, probably because he played it kind of weird.
Yeah.
But here he is again, same event, Alen Alencar once again in a three-way pot. This time he's got a big hand, he's got pocket jacks, but guess what he's gonna do, Jonathan?
What?
He's gonna play it really weird. That's what he does.
Okay, that wasn't what I was gonna guess.
Oh, really?
You said guess. I was gonna guess something
All right,
really different.
Go ahead.
I was gonna guess he was gonna like, sing the theme of Game of Thrones, but sort of hum it because there's no words, but maybe add his own words.
Yeah.
There's a lot of families who were killing each other, except more.
That's not what it sounds like.
I know. Dun, 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 dun. Who remembers the theme of Game of Thrones? It's ancient history.
You're crushing it. Anyway, so is Alen Alencar. He's still here. He's still doing Alen Alencar type stuff. This hand is fun. It's exciting. That's why it was suggested by Mark Testart and Ben Page. They are really crushing it, by the way. Speaking of crushing it.
Man.
They suggested it on Twitter. They included a YouTube link and a timestamp. That's what you got to do.
Two of the faces on the Suggester Mount Rushmore at this point.
Congratulations, guys. Congratulations.
So nice job. Hey, another thing that's on the Suggester Mount Rushmore is Nitrogen Sports Poker, our sponsor.
Makes perfect sense.
It sure does. At the end of every month, of course, we have our Poker Guys Invitational. It's our tournament where 1,000 buy-ins are guaranteed, and you can play it as long as you use the link that we always tweet out whenever we tweet out one of these videos, and the link to that. So just check out the Poker Guys Twitter feed to find it. That's how you sign up for Nitrogen. That gets you into this awesome tournament with this massive overlay. Again, 1,000 buy-ins are guaranteed. We usually get like 100 players. So you're getting like 9 times value on everything you're doing. It's crazy.
It's a great deal.
Got to get involved.
And it's an invitational, apparently, which it sounds like a really classy tennis tournament.
I know, right?
I'm pretty into that. So get on Nitrogen. It's a Bitcoin-only poker site. They give you your money fast when you withdraw. Get you some poker. Let's get to the hand.
Slightly bigger pocket pair for Alen Alencar. Pocket jacks. Queen jack for Kamel. He's in. And I imagine ace deuce of hearts will also be joining the party.
17? Yeah.
Much like me, late and uninvited. 3 ways to the flop. Queen 9-7, top pair for Kamel. 1 heart for Jedlichka, 1 overcard for Alencar. And now 2 hearts for Jedlichka. Checked around on the flop. Kamel not wanting to give another free card as this board gets straightier and flushier. I do not think he will be eliminating the nut flush draw, however. Nah. Stefan calls. Pocket jacks now after a bet and a call. I feel like you can probably confidently fold pocket jacks. What do you think, Vinton?
It can be reasonable, multi-way, particularly when you have the heart. Makes it less likely that your opponents are going to be on draws, have hands like Jack 10, King Jack. And I love watching Brazilians play poker. I really do.
He said it before, he will say it again, and I have to admit, he's got a point. This raise is coming from out of nowhere. Last to act on the flop, doesn't bet. Decides that this raise on the turn will be credible. Gets top pair to fold.
How much? 80?
84.
Yeah, Lishka just trying to work out if he's getting the right price to call here.
He's getting like, what, just under 4 to 1?
Of course, we can see that he's less than a 3 to 1 dog, so would expect him to call, particularly with more chips to play. probably not counting in his head that his ace is likely to be a live out though. Might think he only has 9 outs, but still needs just a little over 4 to 1. And with the rest of the chips to play for, maybe he stacks his opponent quite frequently on a heart.
It's a call. 250K in the middle.
Here's the thing about this turn. I like one decision. I'm pretty sure I don't like any of the other decisions. Jonathan might disagree with me.
Only slightly.
The one decision that I do like is Kamel leading with top pair on the turn. That makes all the sense in the world. The board's pretty wet. We want to get value. We want to, charge all the draws. We don't really need to talk about that.
No, everyone in the world, I think, would lead the turn there.
Next decision is Jedlička's, who has turned the nut flush draw, which is, a powerful hand. It's wonderful to have. I think it's a mistake to call. I think he should be raising rather than calling. What do you think, Jonathan?
I think he probably should be raising too, but I think I can make more of a case for calling than you can. You think he should always be raising here. I don't think he should always be raising.
Okay, well, the reason that I think he should be raising is he is the guy who called out of the big blind. He has literally every 2-pair combo on the board, right? Mm-hmm. He has 5-8 in his hand, which is a straight. He has 8-10 in his hand, which is a straight, as possible combos.
Of course he does.
So he is completely uncapped except for a set of queens. He could also have a set of 9s, by the way.
Yep.
So he has tons of great hands. Ace deuce of hearts does not have anything but the nut flush draw on this board. It's not doing incredibly well against Kamel's range here. Of course, Kamel can have a very big hand as well, but he's less likely to than Jedlička because he doesn't have any 5-8s. He doesn't have any 8-10 offsuits. He doesn't have some of the other 2-pair combos.
He may not have any 8-10s at all.
Right.
Kamel.
So Jedlička has a clear range advantage over both opponents. He doesn't really have showdown value against what Kamel is representing here. I think a raise is a much better play here, not only because we get to take it down a lot right here, but if a heart comes, we're probably not going to get any action.
I don't disagree with any of that. That all makes a lot of sense. I think mostly Jedlička should be raising. I think it's okay to call sometimes with flush draw too. You would expect Alencar is mostly folding when we call. Now, it turns out that's not what happens.
Yeah.
We would expect that. We get to play in position. A lot of the times when Kamel is just going to check fold the river anyway, I think we don't have to get there to win, and we get to protect our stack a little bit more sometimes. So I think it's okay to have some calls here too, but I understand what you're saying and don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I think it's just a pretty clear raise in my opinion, but I get what you're saying as well.
Wonderful.
Now we get to Alencar, and I definitely don't like this play. This is not something I'm a fan of.
No, I don't like this. This seems bad.
All right, so we checked back to flop. Let's keep that in mind. That's important as Alencar.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hard to represent something. That's the first question, is what the hell are we representing? And there's a very easy answer, actually, but it's only 3 combos. It's a set of 6s. That's the only thing that makes 100% sense, right?
Yes, a set of 6s you believe all the way through. You got to believe there's a little bit of top set in there, too. I do anyway.
The tiniest bit of top set.
Yeah.
But if you're going to rep top set as Alencar, this is probably not the best time to do it because there's already been a bet and a call making it likely that at least one of your opponents has a queen, which blocks top set, which makes it easy for them to eliminate it.
That's a really good point.
So speaking of the nuts 8-10, Alencar, wouldn't he bet that on the flop with no showdown value?
Yes.
So yeah, this is a really bad story. He's just saying, I want you to fold a queen, guys, I guess. And if he's ahead, by the way, he could just, it's fine just to call with jacks here. He could be ahead of both players.
I think he's supposed to call with jacks here. He gets to close the action in position. The plan would be not to put any more chips in on the river. You hope it goes check, check, and you just get to pound that felt and win a fair amount of the time, right?
Yeah.
That's totally reasonable. Raising, though, seems cray-cray in the hey-hey, as they say.
He also blocks flush draws with the jack of hearts, which you don't want to do if you're going to raise and hope your opponents fold. But whatever. So that's another decision that I don't like. And of course, you don't like that as well.
No, I do not.
Here's another decision I don't like, is Kamel folding. I think this is a big mistake. I think when Jedlička just calls, he very rarely has queen-jack beat. Some of the time he has king-queen.
You know what I say whenever I see something like this? I say, how can he fold? Incredible poker hands broken down decision by decision.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yes, so I think that it's pretty clear that Jedlička usually doesn't have queen-jack beat, right?
Yes, usually he doesn't. He can have some king-queen here, maybe a tiny bit of ace-queen also, but mostly you're beating Jedlička at this point. He's going to raise almost all the hands that are beating him.
Right. Going back to why I wanted Jedlička to raise is because he could rep all of those hands.
Fair enough.
He's likely to raise them if he has them, right?
Right.
So you're probably ahead of him. And Alencar's story, as we said, Doesn't make any damn sense.
Unless he has pocket sixes.
Yeah, which is the only thing that makes sense, and his 3 combos, by the way. And he only started the hand with 36 blinds in early position. I guess this guy probably opens it, but not everybody does open pocket sixes there.
That is true. And we were talking about maybe a little bit of top set of queens, but guess what? As
We
Camille,
blocked that pretty
we
strong.
have
There's
a queen.
one combo.
One combo, and he has to play it this way. It's almost negligible.
So I know that
part of
it feels like we're in the squeeze as Kamel here, but
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty clear spot for a call. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I think I understand, though, in the moment how Kamel's sort of like all your poker instincts, your antennas start flying around and you think, oh, of course I fold here. There were 3 ways. He just raised. He's repping a big hand. I only have top pair. I've got this guy behind me to worry about. You throw your hand away without thinking about it enough. But if you really sit back and put this one together, this is a pretty straightforward call, I think.
I agree. And now we get to Jedlička, who, of course, is getting the right price to call with ace-deuce of hearts once there's the raise and the call, and the players have enough behind to make it profitable overall. It's a pretty good spot. But I once again think this is a bit of a mistake. I think Jedlička should be shoving here. I think it's a pretty clear shove. I think now we can say, okay, Alencar, his story doesn't make sense. If he has 6s, he's going to call. If he has 6s, I still have at least 20% equity. That's nice. That's pretty good. So Alencar basically doesn't have many good hands. That's really the reason. But ace-deuce against a guy like Alencar might not be good enough for showdown. I know a big point you're going to make right now is that Alencar could have a worse flush draw.
This is the one reason to call as opposed to shove in my mind is that, boy, the story that doesn't make sense is a strong made hand. A story that does make sense, though, is turned hearts like we have. But we always have the better turned hearts here. So we can call if we want to, specifically the intention of calling a fair amount of rivers also, by the way, even if we brick, because ace-high is going to beat the other flush draws. That would be the only reason I can come up with to call versus to shove or to fold here.
But the thing is, if we have the better hearts, don't we want to get it in right now against Alencar and capture all of his money?
Well, that is a fair point. Alencar's a bit of a crazy guy, and this is something that we need to be taking into consideration. By the way, Kamel should have been taking this into consideration too on the turn himself, and another reason to call with the queen jack. But because Alencar's a crazy guy, you could decide to call here to let crazy just be damn crazy. But it's very reasonable to not make all these hard decisions and just shove yourself.
Right, because if Alencar has hearts, he's not folding, right? So if a big...
I don't know if he's folding.
It seems unlikely that he's folding.
I mean, he's got a lot of blinds. He's got enough blinds he can fold.
I guess he can kind of
I think
fold.
he is folding.
Okay, maybe he is. Maybe he is, but whatever. Either way, I think I like a shove better because Alencar, we want him to fold most of his hands. I don't think he has hearts that often.
I mean, if he doesn't have hearts, he's supposed to have a set of 6s, right?
But he's Alencar.
Well, this is the question, is how much do we know that it's Alencar? If we know he's really cray-cray Alencar dude, then we should shove for sure because he's got all these weird middling hands that he's raising with, right? If we don't know that, he's a little more polarized. We might lose the heart draws and keep all the sets. That's problematic for shoving.
River card is not a heart, but it is far from a brick. Top pair for Jedlička.
Very interesting.
And it looks like Alencar may think that he can bluff Jedlička off a queen.
Problem with bluffing with the jacks is that you just block the hands that you want your opponent to have as the auto folds. The king jack of hearts, the jack 10 of hearts, maybe even just jack 10. You don't block any of the pairs, any of the sets, any of the 2 pairs, but he is going to pull the trigger. This is a very tough spot for Jedlička with the ace deuce of hearts.
Man, when somebody puts out a big stack like that and then immediately looks to me the way Alencar just did, that does not seem super strong to me. Looking very interested in what you do next. I think when you're strong, you seem less interested. You're less invested. You know you're going to win the pot no matter what.
Show one.
Jedlička does lay it down.
This Alencar guy's a genius.
Is he?
How does he do it?
I don't know.
Okay, so this works. I don't know if it should. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
First of all, should Alencar keep going? Should he keep his story up?
Yes.
Okay.
He absolutely should bet big on this river when the ace specifically comes, because now he's trying to fold out a queen. And you could talk, I don't know if he'd actually bet the nut flush draw on the river if he had raised the turn with it and bet. And by the way, as
Yedlichka.
Yedlichka, we know that isn't possible, but we don't know that as Alencar, right? We're thinking, what's our story here? Our story is, okay, I had the nut flush draw. I checked the flop because I didn't have anything. I turned the nut flush draw, though. I raised with it, and I hit my ace. I've got ace 10 of hearts or whatever. I'm betting now.
But would you? That's the real question.
I don't know if I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah,
probably
feels like
just check.
a little bit too weak to bet in this spot because
agree.
we're expecting to fold out a queen, and we're trying, like, if we're betting for value here, it's because we have a set of sixes. We're trying to get called by something better than queen most of the time, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know if the story adds up. The story adds up to a set of sixes still. That still makes sense.
When you have the set of sixes, you're hoping the guy has the nut flush draw and you're trying to get
Yeah.
called by the ace, right? I mean, yeah, no, it doesn't really add up, but I still think it's going to work enough of the time in most tournament scenarios that it's okay to take the shot. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree.
Okay.
I think it's fine. I mean, we're pretty deep in this thing. We did that thing on the turn that we did, and now we're here.
I mean, we're repping a really strong hand. Might as well keep repping it. Maybe the guy will fold. The guy, it doesn't look like Yedlichka has a very strong hand, even though we called our raise. Looks like he's holding on with king-queen.
Yep, but he happens to have stronger than that, which is, by the way, a reason for Yedlichka to call on this river. It looks like Yedlichka mostly has queens here, right? He doesn't usually have an ace in his hand. He has to have the ace-x of hearts to have an ace in his hand.
Right.
He has a lot more queens that would play this way, which means that this falls pretty high in his distribution when he takes this line.
It does. And if you think about it, what does Alencar have for value that he's shoving? He doesn't have the nut flush draw that missed the flush but hit the ace.
Near shove, not quite a shove.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. But he doesn't have that. So the ace doesn't feel like it makes any difference at all to Alencar's range, right? So now we're really just going back to that set of sixes, maybe from Yedlichka's point of view, okay, there's a few sets of queens in there too, maybe one combo of that, and I think we're being generous even by saying that,
Yeah.
but maybe another weird strong hand. But if we know anything at all about Alencar, if we know he's even a little bit crazy as we see he is, and we've seen this in other hands from the same event, from the same table we've seen examples of it, I don't see how we can possibly fold top pair here.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a pretty clear call. I understand that against a more traditional opponent, we might think, okay, this is often a set, but a more traditional opponent is not usually going to check the flop and then raise the turn line when there's a bet and a call, right?
Well, if they have a set of sixes, they might.
That's it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it feels like against a guy like Alencar, we're pretty high in our distribution. We should probably make this call and just, if we lose, whatever. We still have a huge stack. It's fine.
Right, exactly. I think that's part of it too. Like, it situationally doesn't mess us up to make this call and be wrong. So Alencar somehow gets it all through, gets all the better hands to fold, even though he himself has a hand that seems to have enough value that he shouldn't need to bluff. What do you think about all this, guys? Like, do you think these are good plays or do you think they're bad plays that worked out? We're not super in love with these plays by Alencar. They did really work, though. He got better hands to fold. Do you think it's because it's mistakes by Yedlichka and Kamel? Or do you think these are mistakes by Alencar that he sort of got lucky on? Like, let us know in the comments what you think about their decisions. We're looking forward to seeing what you have to say.
Also, check out the link in the description of this video. That is a link to our book. There might be two links, actually, because we got an ebook and we got our paperback book, which you can get on Amazon. It's How Can He Fold? Jonathan mentioned it briefly in the video. It's a really fun book. We've spent the last year working on it. It's conversational back and forth that we have in text form with, beautiful graphics of the hands. And we're talking about hands. It's really good. It's 37 digestible chapters.
And they're all big time hands. They're like final table at the World Series main event type hands. It's great. We argue a lot. We make fun of each other a lot, but we also get into really interesting poker analysis. And it starts at relatively easy stuff or more basic stuff, and it gets super complicated by the end of the book. So it ultimately hits a spectrum, and it's for everyone. It's a perfect Christmas gift if you're thinking about Christmas or even Thanksgiving.
Or, yeah, Thanksgiving gift, whatever, fine.
I mean, I do that.
Or Hanukkah or New Year's or whatever you want to give a gift for. Just give it to everybody you know.
Arbor Day is coming, people.
Yeah, fine, give it the gift. Just buy the book.